Guys, I got that front end completely tore apart, got the MIP parts in, got get ready to put the new shock tower on, but before we can put all that back together, since it all mounts, it mounts right here, the diff sits here, and then you have your A-arms and shock tower up here. We need to do this bell crank kit first. So the ST Racing kit comes with, it's going to replace everything on this. It's going to replace this link brace here, these two sections here, the servo saver, the connection for your servo. So all that stuff's going to be replaced with aluminum. So the first thing I got to do is get these steering linkages off, and then I can pull all this apart. Here, off. Number one, that's off. And number two. Here's all the parts in the kit. Now it does come with 2 screws, stainless steel, so I'm not exactly sure what they're replacing, but you got your 2 pivot arms, you got your servo, and you got the link that links the 2 together. Alright, here's the replacement parts right here. This part will be replaced by this new part right here. The link bar, which is right here, will be replaced by this aluminum one. STRC logo on it. And the servo saver will be replaced by these pieces right here. Now this old servo saver doesn't appear to have any adjustment on it, where the new one has a threaded, knurled adjustment piece. So we're going to go ahead and swap those out. So that piece will fit down on the bearing. Like so. And there seems to be a problem with this new piece. It hits. It barely hits this. I don't know if you can see that or not. It barely rubs against this right here. The old one does not. I'm just going to put the old one back on and show you. Careful not to lose these little shims that go on the top. This one here clears. I don't think you can see that, but this one clears by about 1/16 of an inch. The ST Racing one, it barely hits. So I'm going to have to shave a little piece off right here. Let's go ahead and get that done, and then we'll get this side finished. Alright guys, I went ahead and just trimmed a little bit of this off right here. So now it doesn't hit, so we got good clearance there. I'm going to go ahead and stick the bearing on. There's our bearing, and there's a little shim goes on the top. And I believe these new screws, are actually for this piece, I believe. Let's just open that up and see what these screws are for. No instructions, so you're kind of on your own to figure things out, but these sleeved bolts go in this piece, so it's not for that. So the only thing I could think this is to mount these, and these are Phillips head, which is kind of strange that they would be Phillips head. I don't think I'm going to use those. I think I'm going to use what was mounted on the previous ones. Decided to use the original bolts. We're not going to tighten that up just yet. Alright. Now a servo saver side. Again, you got that little shim at the top of the... Alright, now we're going to put the servo saver side together. We're going to pull this piece here, this adjustable knurled nut. This will hold the spring together. That goes like that. That's going to go in there like so. We put our spring on. And we're going to go ahead and put this together. Try to get this threaded by pushing on that spring. And I got it. There it is. And then that servo saver is tough. So that spring is really tight. Right? So now we're going to go take our piece, and this will go on here. We'll put our bearing in the top. Don't forget our shim and our bolt. Now we're going to put our, this is just a little tight for my liking. That's better. Spins nice and free, both pieces. So now the STRC goes in between. This we're going to put some Loctite on. Always shake your Loctite. Just snug those up, the Loctite will hold them. Alright, there's our steering linkage. Very nice. Alright, now we can reattach the diff. Like that. Got a couple of Now we're going to go ahead and put our arms on. Maybe we'll put the shock tower on next. Aluminum front shock tower. I'm going to have all these parts later in the video, or some portion of the video. I'll have all these part numbers listed so you guys will be able to write them down then, or get that information if you want it. So go ahead and snug those up. Okie dokie, so now we got two that go through. Will be these. Make sure these are too long. So I think we need to use the ones that came in the pack. Got our shock tower in place. Now we can go ahead and get our front arms down here and get them attached. Alright, got our front end all back together. Everything came out very nice. I think what I'm going to do is reattach this to the chassis before I put the front bumper assembly on. So I'm going to go ahead and get the chassis back, fit that up, get this steering linkage hooked back up, and then I'll put the sway bar on, and then we'll have our front end done. Alright, got the front end mounted back on the front of the truck. Everything looks really good. No binding, no anything. Steering linkage is nice and smooth. Everything looks really good. Really happy with it. Alright, I think next thing we'll do is I think we'll do the center diff. Get the center diff done, then maybe mount the rear end back on, because I need the center diff in place to put the rear end in, and then we'll put the front bumper on the front, and then we'll get ready to put our power plant on. Alright, before we put the rear of the truck back on the chassis, need to get where they're going to use the slipper clutch, which I removed here, or the optional differential. I'm going to go with the optional differential. Now I'm going to remove this plastic gear, and we're going to replace it with this 53 tooth Robinson Racing. Also, I'm going to tear this diff open and check the fluid. I don't think I mentioned it, but the front diff I ended up putting 80K in. We put 100 in the rear. The center, I'm either going to put 500 or 200. So haven't decided yet. I'm going to go ahead and get this tore apart, maybe leaning more toward the 200. Maybe the 500, not sure. The 500 will super duper thick. It'll almost make it sort of like a slipper clutch. That's pretty much what I want for bashing. I want something that's pretty heavy in that center diff. So I'm not sure the 200 is going to do the trick, but we'll see. Let's get this thing apart and see what it looks like inside. I'm curious to see what's in it. placing it. Looks like the Robinson Racing's the right one. Put that to the side. Open this diff up. Well, let's bring in here. Got some heavy fluid in here. I don't know if you guys can see. Hopefully you can see this. Not the worst I've seen. Pretty heavy though. See if I can figure out what that is. That's probably, I don't know. Probably could be 30K, something like that. I think we're going to put, maybe go with the 200. So I'm going to clean that out, put my fluid in, and get this back together. Alright, got the diff all back together. Ended up going with the, where is it here? Went with the 200K. Got our Robinson Racing gear on. It's pretty tight, so it's not as much locking as the 500 would, but I think I'm going to try this 200 out and see how it works. It's pretty tight, so hopefully that's going to be enough to stop too much power from going to the front. Alright, now that our center diff is ready, we can put this in the chassis and get our back end connected. Alright, everything is back together, front end, rear end. Now I'm going to go ahead and add this RPM front bumper and skid plate kit. Screw kit, 2 skid plate pieces, and the front bumper. Going to go ahead and get all this stuff pretty simple to put together and get it on the front of the truck. Okay guys, that completes now all the suspension, the drivetrain, bumpers, shock towers, all that stuff. So now we're at the point where we're ready to put the electronics in this thing. Hey, I'm going to have to stop with part 3 of this series right here. It's taking a little longer than I anticipated. I don't like these videos getting over 20 minutes long. But, you know, we've been building this truck basically from the ground up. Tore everything apart, putting everything back together, including the upgraded parts, rebuilding differential, so it's taking a while. Anyway, in part 4, we'll get the electronics in here, the Hobby Wing Easy Run kit, make sure that's all working fine. Then we'll put the tires on, and I'll finally get to reveal that custom painted body I've been dying to show you guys. So, thanks for watching. I'll have part 4 up soon. We'll wrap up this Traxxas 4x4 / Super Build Edition. So looking forward to that, guys, and I'll see you there real soon. So long.